welcome to everybody that's here tonight. If this is your first night, don't be concerned, because the 12-step way of doing things is a continuous spiral upward, and although the steps do go in numbers, we're actually on step 11, so that doesn't even matter, so don't stress out over it. The workshop is recorded so that you can go to my YouTube channel and rewatch it or watch it if you didn't get a chance to be in the class. We do not show faces, so please don't feel like you have to hide from what we're doing here. Anybody has any questions, please email me at 12stepspath@gmail.com. If you have any questions about the homework, you can talk to Rochelle K. You can email her, and she can help you out if you have any issues. So, if you guys feel like you should have gotten a homework assignment and you didn't, you can always email me or email Rochelle, and she'll get you set right with that. We will use a timer to remind people if we feel like it's getting over time and there's a lot of hands raised. We haven't had that issue yet, but as we go along, that tends to be more of the problem because the exercises get a little bit more difficult. So that's just a little statement about the timer. And if you could all please, while muted, say the set aside prayer with me. God, please set aside everything that I think I know about myself, my brokenness, my spiritual path in you, for an open mind and a new experience with myself, my brokenness, my spiritual path, but especially you. So we're setting aside, letting go of our preconceived notions and trying to have an open mind. On page 27 in the big book, it says, quote, ideas, emotions, and attitudes, which were once the guiding forces of the lives of these men and women, are suddenly cast to one side, and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begin to dominate us. Please join me in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we're working on step 11 this week. That was the assignment, the homework assignment, and it's about prayer, meditation, and contemplation. Hopefully you got a chance to look up prayer, meditation, and contemplation, and maybe even read some of the pages 85 to 88. And on those pages, it says, we will see that our new attitude toward addiction has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, nor are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we have been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. The problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid that this is our experience. This is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition, which is what step 11 is really all about, being in fit spiritual condition. And last week, we took a little glimpse into what a spiritual awakening would look like. In essence, the mission statement of the 12 steps is why we're here. And I want everyone to understand this, because we do come here by way of our own suffering from some form of ours or another person's addiction. And the promise is that you will be set free. Not before you finish the 9th step, but in pages 84 and 85, Bill explains how this works, and we will go into it next week when we do step 10. Page 44 in the big book says, It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions out of the window, that it was easy. But the moment I made up my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my addictive condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Bill also emphasized that we reach and maintain a position of neutrality. And then he says, we're not cured, we have a daily reprieve. And the reprieve is the promise that means that we have to do the work on a daily basis of steps 10, 11, and 12, which is why Herb traditionally starts at 10, 11, and 12. And we take the responsibility for our lives. This is the way of living, of managing our life, of taking responsibility of our lives. Do you hear the grace in that? So the purpose of the steps are not about addiction. And the purpose is not about our lives, and all of that stuff is the icing on the cake. When we find the power, when you find the power, you get free of addiction. You are able to glide through life. It's smooth, it's a flow, there's no resistance. It means you develop a relationship with reality, reality in capital letters, in whatever form that looks like to you. But we join in and we become one with reality because we haven't been living in reality. We've been living in our own heads, in our own stories. So again, the purpose of the steps is to find power. It's not about addiction. It's not about our life situation. Those are just byproducts of finding the power. When you really find the power, you will become free. You'll be able to navigate your life so much easier. You'll be in the flow like this river. Your life just flows, and you stop trying to canoe upstream because it's extremely difficult to go against the grain. It's very hard to go upstream. So we want to become more conscious of that. And we have a mind that can transcend itself. It can look at ourselves. It can evaluate ourselves. We even learn from our mistakes. It's a very conscious way, and we get to make free decisions. And that's what makes us specifically and uniquely human. So to return to God or the flow or whatever word you use, and I do say the flow because it does remind me to go with what's happening because that's reality. I'm going with the flow. I'm not fighting what is. Because when I fight what is, I suffer. So on pages 85 to 88 in the big book, step 11 says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of their will for us and the power to carry that out. So let's break it down a little bit. Sought through prayer and meditation. I have to say I did more than sought through prayer and meditation to improve my contact with my higher power. I got a college education. I studied lots of religions of the world. I watched documentaries. I spoke to religious people. I was trying everything I could in order to find my power, my higher power. And the first recommended to get into your power is to develop a meditation practice in the morning, every morning. And as I've already admitted, I am not a very good meditation student. I have a monkey mind. But if I don't try to do it for a long time, I can do all right. I find that if I can do a couple of minutes at a time, I can really rock it because I can sit for a couple minutes without my mind going crazy. And it's like I can't run a marathon, but I can run for 10 minutes and those steps keep counting on my watch. So, 3 sessions of 3 minutes, I'm up to 9 minutes. They're not consecutive, but they're still as valuable. So I like to tell people, when you're trying to build up a practice of meditation, and if you're really struggling, because a lot of us have that kind of mind, just do as much as you can. You can't do more than that. And if you're trying to do more than that, you're going to get a really bad taste in your mouth for meditation. It's a process, and you can't skip the steps along the way. You've got to remember this is about improving your conscious contact with your higher power. So if you start out and you can do 1 minute in a day and you haven't been doing any, you've just now accomplished 1 minute with your higher power, which is 100% more than you did the day before. So there is no failure to improving your conscious contact. It's just do it. Whatever you can, in whatever shape or form you can do it in. So again, if you're not a great meditator like me, use that unique time to get closer to your higher power. Pray in the morning to start your day. The set aside prayer is a great prayer and a great motivator. It really can be specific. You can put your own words in, you can make it your own, you can make it work to the day that you think you might have, and really put the help out there that you're looking for from your higher power. I also like to use prayers that bring me to a place where I feel like the presence of my creator is closer to me. And some of those prayers aren't in the big book, and it doesn't have to come from the big book. It's whatever prayer resonates with you and puts you in that state of grace to start your day off. And I actively try to bring my awareness to the presence of my higher power. And sometimes I literally stop whatever I'm doing, look around me, feel the energy of being a human on this planet, how grateful I am, and remember what got me here. Not the mess I'm in, but my actual existence in this vast universe. And I also want to mention that I use music, mostly modern spiritual music, on my all-time favorites list. Anything that really, I feel it brings me up a notch. It brings me higher on my level, on my plane. It brings me closer to my heart. It brings me closer to my higher power. It makes it stronger for me to feel that vibration pulsing through my lungs, my vocal cords. Some of the words in the spiritual music of the devotion, it's all in there for me. So when I can't pray, I put on some really great, uplifting, body sensing music, and it really gets it there for me. And it's amazing how fast it can change my mood and how I'm feeling. Music is tremendous. And if you want to Google music and the effect it has on human beings, there's some really great information out there. So part of this step 11 says, God as we understood him, because Bill realized there were and would be agnostics and atheists in the group, and that a lot of people resist organized or traditional religion. So this was a very important phrase to him. He didn't want to lose anybody over religion, and he wasn't a big fan of religion himself. To me, it's saying you do not have to believe in anything along the lines of a dogma or a religion that was given to you from perhaps your family, or maybe a marriage that you're not even in anymore. You took on their religion and it made your marriage work, and now it doesn't even make sense to you. The 11th step is your understanding, yours alone, And that's it. It's okay. It's your creative concept. It's extremely personal. And for the resistant people who don't believe, and trust me, often in meetings, it's half the people in the room. You're not alone if you're sitting there going, man, I don't believe, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. That's fine. You don't have to believe in anything. We're gonna seek an awareness of ideas that we create for ourselves. It will come. Just be willing to believe in anything beyond yourself. Anything. So sought is the action word. It's an intentional thinking. It's not a mindless act. It's not like we're just walking around the house going, where the heck is God? It's not like that. It's about an understanding of what our higher power is and what have we created for ourselves. We do this to establish the relationship with power. And it's not about the words or prayers we use. In fact, when I'm singing, I'm probably singing the wrong words. It's about our intention. It's about why we're doing it. What is motivating us? I was in the program for a very long time before I realized I lacked internal guidance because I shunned my religion and I didn't respect my childhood God. It ended up taking me many years to upgrade my definition of my creator. And when I did, this process of recovery sped up exponentially because I didn't know that I didn't know until I knew. It's simple wisdom. Prayer is when I am talking to my higher power. But in prayer, we may have become brain dead and the words are just so automatic. I mean, I've been on the planet more than 60 years. Some of those prayers, I don't even know if I'm thinking about them. I'm just automatically saying them. So prayer is really not about the words. It's about the intention. Again, it's about what am I trying to accomplish with the prayer? Now, meditation is about directing our thinking, which is a conscious act, meaning I make a very conscious attempt to reach my higher power and to feel a connection to start my day. It reminds me to continue on this path throughout my day. I've touched the spirit and I want to keep my hand on that spirit as much as I can throughout my day, because when I do, I have an amazing day. So, contemplation. The importance of the contemplation is the internal guidance that it gives. It's the moral compass. It's reawakened. It gives us balance that we're not used to having. I want to do better in each day, but I need the steps to get the know-how, and then I need the power. It's like putting gas in my car, metaphorically speaking, and then I can go off and do what I need to do in my day. But as you all know, if you don't have gas in your car, you're not going to get very far. So prayer is when I'm talking to God. Meditation is when I'm listening to God. And contemplation is being in the presence of God for the mere purpose of being in the presence. Through the steps and the guidance of my higher power, I've learned and understand how to do things differently, how to do them better, because I found the balance I need inside the 12 steps. But we have to have the knowledge first. Most of us know this, and this is the whole essence of unmanageability, right? Most of us know better. We just don't do better. And some of us don't do better unconsciously. But most of us don't do better consciously. And that's what guilt and shame are about. We consciously aren't doing it. So prayer, meditation, contemplation, I'm sure you've heard the words before, and they can cause confusion. Some people believe, why do we need all those words? Sounds like they're all the same to me. So just remember, prayer is talking to your higher power. It's about intention, not about the words. And if we use the religious way of talking to God, it'll become robotic, just words being repeated. Try using the serenity prayer to consciously pray, because it's nice and short. And think about every single word in that prayer. Take it one word at a time and think about that one word, and then go to the next one. If you're really conscious of what you're saying, it will be soul penetrating. If you search diligently, you will find the power. If you think honestly deep down inside of yourself, because this is the only place you'll find this, this is the unsuspected inner resource that Bill talks about on page 55. That unsuspected inner resource is unsuspected because we didn't know it was there. We haven't been using it. We haven't been checking in with it. I didn't know I would find God deep down inside me. I was looking in a church. I was looking in the Bible. I was asking other religious people. I would envy people that had this connection to God, and I would ask them, how did you get there? Nobody could really tell me. And part of it is the deflation of the ego. At some point, we all have to turn to the light that presides over all of us. So in meditation, we listen. And according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, meditation is a noun. It's a discourse intended to express its author's reflections or to guide others in contemplation or directed thinking. So what do we listen for? We listen for our higher power's presence, to be in its presence, wherever we are. Bill saw it as the fourth dimensional of reality. And you will see this more when we do step 2. But Bill asks the question of chapter 4, where and how are we going to find this power? Where do, like I was searching for decades, couldn't find it. On page 55, Bill says, search diligently within yourself. Then, if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. So we ask God to direct our thinking. Anytime the big book suggests you talk to God, it's actually saying prayer. When Bill would say talk to God, he meant pray to God, but it's also talking. And we would say something to the effect of, God, please direct my thinking. It's simply simple. Just, God, please direct my thinking. Think about the 24 hours ahead and consider what you've got planned. What are you going to do today? Who am I going to be with today? I want to be better than I was yesterday. I did things I want to learn from and be more mindful. And I want to correct my character defects. And if I feel like I get some guidance, I'll write it down on a pad of paper. And I'll tell you, more times than not, it will come up later in the day. It's amazing. Bill also says, watch for resentment and fear and dishonesty and selfishness when they crop up, not if, because they will, because we are human beings and we will never transcend our humanity. There's always going to be areas that we need to address. Always. That's not to say we're not going to get better. We are. But the possibilities are endless. Herb would say the key to meditation for him was to think about the 24 hours ahead and listen to your thinking as the possible answer to your prayer. In the thinking and considering, I realized the possibility that my very thoughts, feelings, memories, and imaginations are very conceivably an answer to my prayer. That's my wee small voice. So the AA Big Book, page 567. With few exceptions, our members find that they have tapped an unsuspected inner resource, which they presently identify with their own conception of a power greater than themselves. Which I absolutely love this small excerpt from that page, because there is an unsuspected inner resource in every one of us, whether you call it higher power, God, or yourself. The point is to identify with it. I mean, we were probably all at some point unsuspecting and didn't know it was there. I didn't know I'd find my higher power deep, deep, deep within myself, the soul of my soul, the breath of my breath, the life of my life, as Herb has said. I had no idea that that was where the source was that I was seeking. It still blows me away how much I really thought it was outside. But why not think it was outside? Because I thought everything was happening on the outside of myself. So why wouldn't that be where God is too? But it wasn't. It's an inside job. It's my inners. It's my insides. All of this time, it was my insides. And I was seeking outside for millions of miles to no avail. A power inside of me that is part of me, but separate from me, but always available to me. I'm going to repeat this very important fact. A power inside me that is part of me, but separate from me, but always available to me. Don't ever forget that. Again, that wee small voice, meaning the tiny whispering sound, which is very, very different from the wee small voice. It's what makes us want to improve our consciousness about our consciousness. That wee small voice, like a little leprechaun. So we know what to do, but now we have to practice. And practicing once a week will get you maybe once a week results. So if you want to have daily results, guess what? You probably should practice daily, because human beings need to practice in order to get good at something, at anything. It's like, as an example, learning to ride a bike. A young child is on two wheels, he's got the training wheels, and if his parents are really diligent and have the fortitude, eventually he'll learn how to ride with no training wheels. And then as he grows, he increases the size of the bike. It's the same as any other new skill. Practice, practice, practice. It's the most important thing you're going to practice. Because when you practice meditating in the connection and all that goes with that, your life is going to change exponentially. It's worth the practice. Contemplation is defined as a concentration on spiritual things as a form of private devotion, a state of mystical awareness of our higher powers being, an act of considering with attention. For me, it has been very mystical. And I know I don't have all the answers. I know I don't even have some of the answers. I have a few. And it is a new dimension, and it's a mystery. It's beyond my logic and my senses. It's not like anything else I've experienced in my life. And we'll see more about all of this in step two, but again, it's a mystery. And Bill says on page 55, you are going to find this power if you search diligently, fearlessly, honestly, deep down inside. It's the only place you're going to find it. It's sitting in the depths of your soul. People have referred to this type of work as soul surgery. And it's a great way to say it, but we're not doing any surgery on the soul. The soul's intact. We're doing the surgery on the ego to get to the soul. And steps 2 and 3 are assumptions of step 11. Step 2 is the decision about God. Step 3 is the decision for a relationship with whatever we call God. And then steps 4 through 9 are about clearing out the obstacles so that our channel is cleared. And in step 11, we have the conscious contact on a daily basis, and we improve that contact, which, when I think about it and the way I've done it, for me to have tried to do the steps without connecting to my creator, and believe me, I have done it many times without connecting, it just wasn't getting me there. And I couldn't get to the place of letting things go when I didn't know what I was letting them go to. So this is really important to get this. It's probably the most important part of the workshop. And if you walked away with nothing else but this actual concept, you'll still be way ahead of the game. So this is one of my favorite things. It's called a whirling dervish. I don't know if anyone's heard of them. It's a practitioner of the Sufi order, and they're known for their ritualistic whirling dance called the sama. So this dance is a form of remembrance of God, where they spin to achieve a state of religious ecstasy in spiritual union with the divine. And the practice is rooted in the teachings of 13th century Persian poet Rumi. And the whirling is symbolic representation of the celestial bodies rotating in the universe. This Sama ceremony is a structured ritual that involves music, poetry, and whirling dance. And the dervishes wear white robes representing death and rebirth, and a tall hat representing the tombstone. And they begin by turning slowly, gradually increasing their speed and their intensity as they enter a meditative state. And they generally spin for 10 to 15 minutes. When I was in a really bad place, a friend of mine came from Turkey and brought me a statue of a whirling dervish. And I was instantly fascinated by them. And at the time, I felt it represented a lot of the chaos in my life. How unknowingly insightful of my friend to bring it and give it to me. So I learned more about them, and I'm still fascinated with them, but I'm really fascinated with their experience with what they believe in God. And I'm reminded of this often when I remember my need to turn. Bill says we must turn in all things to the Father of light, who presides over us all. My whirling dervish. So this turning comes in step 3, the commitment to turn. The turning itself takes place in steps 4 through 9, and we confirm it on a daily basis in step 10. We turn to be in alignment with power. We must turn in all things, in everything, to the power that created the universe. It is this light that dispels all of the darkness. And as the light becomes brighter, the addiction and unmanageability become dimmer. And the importance of the contemplation is the internal guidance that it gives us. The moral compass is reawakened. It gives me or us balance that we are not used to having. So I want to do better in each day, but I need the steps to get there. All right. So we must turn in all things to the source of life. I want to do better each day, but I need the steps to get the know-how, and then I need the power to put gas in my car, metaphorically. I need the source of light to dispel the darkness that engulfs me on a daily basis. At some point, the light becomes bright enough to be placed in a position of neutrality. But we have that good old dimmer switch. It's hardwired to go backwards if we don't lean into it through our way of living, steps 10, 11, and 12. I have a daily reprieve. I am not cured of my unmanageability. I am not cured of my spiritual malady. I'm not cured of my self-will run riot. I have a daily reprieve from my addiction, one day at a time. So in the evening, we evaluate the components of tomorrow morning's meditation. Is there anything I didn't clean up today that I need to take care of tomorrow? Do I owe somebody an amends that I didn't get to see today? This is addressed again in the morning meditation. Bill says we think about it about the 24 hours ahead and we consider our plan for the day. We can use directed thinking, and Bill says we use our directed thinking upon awakening. Bill learned this practice from being in the deeply Christian Oxford group. They would meet in people's homes and pray and then read and then meditate and then share, which indirectly created what we know today of our AA meetings. But the Oxford group wanted Bill to mainly focus on Christianity and not the recovery message. Bill said, "No, thank you. I have a different idea about my destiny." So Bill left the Oxford group the year his book was published. And Bill never lost his deep regard for the Oxford group as they gave him the 6 steps of his spiritual awakening, which was what gave him his freedom from his addiction and his unmanageability in his spiritual way of living. So it wasn't what he wanted to continue doing, but he knew that it was what saved him. So back to meditation. The big book says the definition of meditation is directed thinking. Upon awakening, we ask our higher power to direct our thinking. Page 85 says, what we have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. It's the only requirement, maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will be done, not mine. These are thoughts that must go with us all day, every day. We can exercise our willpower along this in all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. So the big book says, think about the 24 hours ahead, the keywords on the screen. In the evening, we do the inventory of our day. Did we live in our character defects? Did we harm anyone? Did we do anything that we wish we hadn't done? So we also want to see that going forward. I want to think about my plans. What am I doing today? What is my plan to stay on the path that I want to be on? Remember, keep a pad of paper next to you when you do your morning meditation. You will get messages. Is there anything in my plans for that day that would interfere with my principles of spirituality and my relationship with reality. Who am I going to be today? Am I going to be controlling and judgmental? That's my Achilles heel. Or am I going to try to be less controlling and less judgmental today than I was yesterday? There are going to be always be parts of ourselves that need addressing because we're human. This is how Herb conquered his difficulty with meditation. Herb was a monk for, I think it was 7 years, and he thought he knew what meditation was. And when he left the church and went into the program, he realized he didn't know anything about meditation. So he says, think about the 24 hours ahead, consider your plans for the day, and listen. Remember, meditation is directed thinking. Listen to your thinking. Listen to your thinking as a possible answer to your prayers. Because we're asking, God, please direct my thinking. So be aware that you've asked for direction and listen for it. That wee small voice, hear the answers. And then I begin to think and evaluate. And in the very thinking and evaluating, I realize that in my thoughts and intentions, I can assume, and I am willing to believe, that my very thoughts are the gift of an answer to my prayers, my thoughts, my feelings, my sensations, my imaginations, and my memories. I try to be acutely aware of this as just my ego intruding also. That's my small voice. The tiny whispering sound. We get still and we stay silent and we just listen. So the evening is the inventory. It's not just about liability. Some of it's about what your plans are to contribute tonight or tomorrow. It's about how you did. It's a small repetition of step 4. It is a step beyond, but it is also a repetition. There are 3 inventories indicated in the steps. Step 4 is the heavy hitter, the mother load. Then we have step 10, which is the spot check nightly inventory. And when I am disturbed, there is something wrong within me, not outside of me. It's within me. That's when I'll do an inventory. There are no parameters of time. It can be a minute or an hour. There is no particular process. It's a personal way of doing it to develop your consciousness practice. Take a quick sweep of your day. What needs cleaning up? What didn't work out so great? So Bill suggests you talk to your higher power. It is considered praying in the big book whenever you talk to God. And like I said, whenever you see that come up, remember it's about prayer, not it's the two together. And it would go something like this. God, please direct my thinking. It's that simple. That's all it is. I talk to God in the morning and I say, God, please direct my thinking throughout the day. Because this is where we get into trouble. And we believe our thinking. We think our thoughts are all true. So we've all likely seen the disastrous flooding or any flooding that has been happening in our country. And in my own little town, we've also been experiencing flooding. My cellar has 2 feet of water in it on a lot of days. And water, in its destructive form, when it's out of control, can destroy people's homes and leave its mark of destruction in its wake. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the flooding in Texas and how horrible that's been. But do we blame the water? Because in my kitchen, It's quite necessary. I cannot live without water. I can't cook without water. We have to have water every day. Same water. The difference is one is out of control and the other is contained. That is all the difference there is. And that's like our thinking and feelings being out of control. That's what got us into this mess. Our thinking and emotions contained will keep us here. That is the purpose of meditation. To contain our emotions and thinking so that I am able to manage them and they're not managing me. I have free will. It is what makes us different from all the other creatures on the planet. So choose again. Choose to allow whatever your feelings are telling you to do or not. Contain them. They're out of control and they're making a mess. If we keep them contained, it will keep us in our right state of mind. It won't, our self-will will not run riot. So I try to manage my thinking and emotions so that my thinking and emotions aren't managing me. I have free will. I make the decision and I take free actions, voluntarily actions. You'll see more about this as we go along. But keeping our emotions contained can completely change the kind of day you're having. It's always a choice. We think our emotions just happen. They don't. We create them. Steps 1 through 9 of the rocket launch bill talks about in step 1. We get into the rocket. That's our part. Just get in there, climb aboard. But once we get on board, the rocket takes us to where the rocket's going to go. We have some ability to manage or steer the rocket, but the rocket's going to take us where it's going, which is into orbit around the light with steps 1 through 9. So it's a 3-step launch. The first 3 steps, a relationship with our higher power, the higher power. Then steps 4 through 7, our relationship with ourselves. Steps 8, 9, and 10, our relationship with others. But we are always in orbit around that light. That is the key. So now once we're in orbit, we won't stay in orbit unless we build a spiritual shield that protects us from our addiction and protects us from our unmanageability. And we stay free of our addiction as long as we stay in relationship with our source of power. We stay in that power in relation to the extent that we remove the obstacles to that relationship in step 10. We maintain the relationship by improving our consciousness in step 11, continuing to remove the obstacles in the evening inventory. By improving our consciousness in step 11, we remove obstacles in the evening review. And step 12 guides us with its principles. These are our guidelines. They come from inside of us. It's not happening outside. In step 12, we're guided by the principles that guide us to think and feel and behave, which comes from inside of us, again, not outside. This is the biggest difference when I realized that my life was an inside job. A big part of my poor behaviors were due to inadequate care as a child and social pressure, none of which were mine. Even my early religious views, they were someone else's. But as my spirituality and my experiences grew, I made the choice to shed these false costumes I had worn. The 12 steps had given me so many tools that showed me the way to find my beliefs from my insides through conscious contact with my higher power, through meditation and more. I drudged through it for many years, being an almost impossible meditator. Sometimes a guided meditation helps me. If it's a short one on YouTube, there's a great one called Sitting in the Power. It's excellent. I think it's 10 minutes. But I encourage you to start small and build up your meditation, prayer, and contemplation time as you grow and you practice. So we understand step 11, we have daily practice. You have a special chair or spot, you light the candles, maybe add some music. You just sit there because it is a task for you to accomplish meditation. It's a task for you to become spiritual. You are as powerless over your prayer and meditation as you are over your addiction. Having no power at all, sit in the presence of power. Be humbled by your powerlessness and be grateful for the ability to be aware of it. How can you know if your meditation is successful? Well, you're only responsible for the effort that you put in and not the results. That's not in your hands. Don't judge or evaluate your meditation. And there's really only two mistakes you can make. One is not showing up and doing it, and the other one is quitting early. If you've committed to 5 minutes, set your timer, and the timer will tell you when you're done. Herb says if you want to know if your meditation practice is making a difference in your life, you can do a couple of things. After about 3 or more months, ask your partner how you've been treating them. I've noticed that I was less aggressive, argumentative, and judgmental towards my spouse, and was even making amends quite often. Pay attention to your driving. I'm a notorious road rager. I need the people around me to be faster, smarter, and better drivers. But I did notice, excuse me, and I am noticing, I'm not beeping and yelling at anybody anymore. I also stopped being a backseat driver. That was really hard. How about retail people? Well, another sore spot. I started noting I was blatantly yelling at all of them. I stopped trying to make them be something they weren't, just to ease my fears and have control. Now my head and my feelings, before my head and my feelings would generally lie to me. They were not a valid indicator of my progress. But my behaviors never lie. Bill says we conclude our period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown the way all throughout our day. What our next step is, to be given what we need to take care of what may come. I end my meditation or start my day with the 7th step prayer, as it is very apropos to my next step. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. This prayer is a request to your higher power to remove your character defects that hinder your ability to be helpful to others and to yourself. So as I go out from here to do God's bidding, I'm leaving my launch pad and I'm rocketing into orbit. So prayer, what does it mean? What is it? It's an intimate conversation. Why do we do it? We do it to create a relationship with what we believe as the source of power. In the 12-step program, it is your choice as to what you believe about God or the higher power, the source, the creator, or even something totally different. It's a choice. You have a choice. What do you believe about God? What do you believe about consciousness? Who is your creator? Is it a being, a force, or something else entirely? Did the universe have a beginning? If so, what came before it? What is the purpose of creation and existence? Is there evidence of a creator? Where can it be found? I have used the force, the creator, the source, the end, the flow, all and be all. It's still a mystery. Step 11 is actually about the theology, not the biology or psychology. It's about our relationship with the ethers, whatever that may come to mean. Herb calls it the mystery because there are no factual answers. There is no documentation. And because it isn't important, we don't need to know. We just need to believe, and we can hope there is and act like there is. And if it's true, that's great. And the inevitable end result is conscious contact. What about meditation? It's thinking and listening. What is it? Thinking and listening. Why do we do it? Some people do it for mental health. Some people do it for physical well-being. But step 11 is not any of that. Step 11 is theology, not biology, not psychology. It's about our relationship with the theos, a state of mystical awareness of God's being, the act of regarding steadily. Theos, the God of our not understanding. Our purpose is to become a lantern, an image related to being a sponsor. I am not the light, but I am a channel of the light, shining the light of my experience on the path so that others can have their own experience with this light. The consciousness practice for becoming a lantern is, I am responsible for the effort, not the results. It is a journey, not a destination. But it's not a feeling, so to speak. Feelings are a sand trap, quicksand for addicts. Feelings are really important, wonderfully important for survival and for navigating life. In the spiritual life, though, if you chase your feelings, you will chase the spirit away. This is not about feelings. Feelings are biochemical reactions to my perception of reality. Meditation is not a chemical reaction. It's an alchemic reaction to the combination of the mind and the will in connection with God's grace. It's called self-realization. And certainly becoming a lantern, but that's so that we can be lighting the path to freedom. This is the whole point. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. I don't have a question as much as a comment to what you said, and that it is an inside job, inside rather than something that can be obtained from the outside. It's indefinable. I can't really define it. It's I guess to me it's a power. I don't even communicate. I sense it's there. And I came into program really, well, in my earlier years, I was an atheist and then I became agnostic. And over the years, as a healthcare worker, I talked to people who had had near-death experiences or who had witnessed them in a family member. And I thought, these people are not lying. There's something out there. And so I thought, okay, I can accept there's something out there. But the idea of being able to relate to it personally was something that didn't really reach me until I entered program G in 2006. So I really learned a great deal. But I still I love what you said tonight, that we have just a daily reprieve, and it's through the meditation and the prayer and steps 10 and 11. That's why I need constant reinforcement, which is why I keep repeating these 12 steps And this is my second time really through the 12 steps from a spiritual awareness approach. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm an overeater, a food addict actually. And they don't really approach it from the spiritual side. It's more about focusing on the abstinence, or for the alcoholic, the sobriety. But to me, or there are other programs that abstinence is critical and important, but it's really the journey. I'm on a journey, and my higher power that I finally learned to come in contact with through everything you talked about is helping me. I'm no longer alone. I have some kind of support that I do get to through, and I cannot do 10 minutes a minute. Even I do short meditation. I do some in the morning, and then during the day, I'll ask if there's something coming up. I'll just ask for support to do and say the right thing. Just give me the strength and the wisdom to take the right action. So anyway, I've just wanted to say that I certainly concur with what you're saying, and I'm on a journey, and I think we're all on a journey. So that's why I'm here. Thank you. That's all. That's enough.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Carol.
Hi. I want to tell you what happened to me today, but if it's too much story, will you stop me? Because I don't want to get into stories, but I did have a spiritual experience.
Okay.
All right. I own single family homes that I rent out. And there was a tenant that was supposed to come a couple days ago, didn't come. I called him. He said he was going to come today. So I'm sitting at the house waiting for him to come to give him a tour of the house. And he says, give me some more time. I'm running late. So what I did was I said, okay, I'll wait for you. So I used that 10 minutes to meditate. And I set my timer and I just sat there and I meditated. And then lo and behold, he did not come, but somebody else on the Zillow app messaged me and said they'd like to have a tour. And could she come? And I said, well, I'm here right now. And so if you want to come, I've got 2 houses to show you. She said, I can make it by 5. And she was a little bit late, but not that late. And she came in and I gave her a tour of both the houses and everything worked out great. Then I went back to my other property and I opened the door and I smelled cat urine. And I was so angry at my tenant because I don't know what happened, but it just seemed like her cat just peed all over the basement. And I'll have to have somebody come and deodorize it. And she left her cleaning supplies in the house, and she's coming tomorrow to get her cleaning supplies and some things she left in the garage. And so I said, I don't want her coming in the house. I'm angry at her. I really don't like what she did. So I took all the cleaning supplies, I put them in the garage. And as I was pulling the garage door down, it's an old garage that was built in the early 50s. It didn't have a handle. And that's when I smashed my fingers.
That's a hard lesson.
It is. Was that too much story?
No, that was great. Yeah, and what did you learn?
Oh, I learned that, I have no idea if she did that on purpose with her cat. Probably not. And I was angry and I did it out of anger. And that's why I put things in the garage. And so when I closed the garage door, I smashed 3 fingers on both hands. But they're bruised. I don't think I broke anything. My husband is an ER doctor. I called him and he came with a bag of ice.
Good thing.
And I'm very grateful that I have such a wonderful husband, and I'm grateful that it wasn't worse than it is, but it hurts. It really does hurt.
And I'm sure your ego hurt when you were taking it personally.
Yeah. Yeah, it did hurt. I was very mad at her because I thought, this is so disrespectful and it's very hard to get rid of the odor of cat urine and it's going to cost me money and oh, yeah, I'm going to take it out of her security deposit. That's what those were the thoughts that I had when I took all that stuff out to the garage. The intentional was very nasty on my part. Take full
Well,
responsibility. Yeah,
not to put you on the spot, but at night, did you do a step 10?
I'm going to do a step 10 tonight. You
Oh,
bet.
yeah, today? Okay, good.
You bet.
Very good.
So thank you for listening and thank you everybody for listening. I hope it wasn't too much story.
No, it was a great story, Carol. Thank you. All right. Rochelle.
Hey, everybody. Oh, let me shut this one off. Okay. And now I'm going to shut this one.
I'm sorry. Oh, it's not going to work.
I can hear you.
Are you not getting an echo?
No, I am getting an info.
Okay. Let me try this.
Let me
Let me
just shut
shut
this
this
one
one
off.
off.
One
One
sec.
sec.
Okay. There. There. I have an older computer and I wear hearing aids, so I usually listen to the sound on my phone and put the video on there. And I thought, oh, I got outsmarted today. I really loved everything you said. I've been down this road so many times, and every time is something new. And so many times I've decided, oh, I didn't want to go to a meeting. I just didn't want to go. And then a friend will call me and say, should have come. I just heard the most amazing speaker, or somebody said the most, and it's really true. If you're not in the room where it happens or whatever, like Hamilton. But I'm a great believer that it can come from people, that God speaks through other people. And I hope I didn't say this last time, but the thing I remember about my cancer journey was meeting a woman in the restroom who I was at the start of my journey, and she was at the end of hers with stage 4. And she grabbed me and looked in my eyes and said, God is not done with you yet. And um, that stayed with me and stayed with me. I don't know what happened to her. She did not look well, and she had stage 4 breast cancer. And but that comment, I knew that was God speaking through her. And that gave me the hope that I could continue and go on that journey. And the doctor would say to me, well, how are you dealing with the side effects? And I go, well, it's not really pleasant. And the doctor would say, well, you can taper off. And I would repeatedly say to the doctor, I don't want to do this again. So I'm not tapering off anything, no matter. And if you've never been on high doses of steroids, where you're just eating anything that could, I'm the only person you've probably ever seen who gained 60 pounds on chemo. And but I wasn't about to doubt the science. Whatever they said to do is what I did, because I didn't want to relapse and have this again. But I always think about that woman whenever anything happens, that God's not done with me yet. And I say that sometimes to other people. So this was really powerful today. Thank you, Lisa.
There's a great thing, and it'll come up later on when we get to the first few steps, and it's the statement that God is everything or God is nothing.
Right.
And I'm of the belief that God is everything, which means the woman that came into that bathroom and looked in your eyes was part of God. So absolutely.
Right.
It's exactly what you say. So, when God is everything, he does show up in the bathroom of another woman. So it's a fantastic way to look at things. It's a great story. Thank you, Rochelle. G,
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for doing this. I heard someone say a while back that God is at the core of everything, yet nowhere to be found. And I really like that because we're all looking in the wrong places. And there was a time in my life, I've been in recovery for many years, but there was a time in my life where I, like everybody else, sought God outside of myself. And it wasn't until the last few years that I really focused on, um, speaking to God, being intimate with God inside of myself. However, the frustration for me is I'm easily distracted by life, people, places, and things. And I know that the most important thing that I could be doing any time of day, anywhere on planet Earth, at any given moment, is communing with God inside of myself. Yet there's a laziness. There's an it's I'm not I don't want to well it's unwilling, but it's almost like, oh yeah, God will be there. God's always there. I'll get to God later. And it pisses me off because I know better. I'm pretty evolved spiritually, yet I still think I can commune with God without communing with God, without, like what relationship, my eyes still get lusted after the material. And what I mean by that is what relationship to anything on this earth doesn't require attention? And so for some reason, I'm always willing to put off God until there's an urgent need. And that's what bothers me. I've gotten better at it. I do talk to God every day. I know that God can't be found outside of me, but I still get lit up. I still get lit up and have idols like shopping and TV and food and distraction. I still get lit up. My brain still wants to get it. I am a human being and I am on the material plane. And that is the challenge that God presents with me every moment of every day. Okay, I've given you all this abundance here on planet Earth. Now, will you come to me willingly and be quiet and listen and have a relationship with me? And the answer for 70% of the time is no, I'm still too lit up by external sources. And the part that kills me is that I know better. I know that the answer is not anywhere outside of me, but the distractions and the false idols are too tempting. So that's my challenge these days. Is like put the false idols down for 10 minutes. Put them down for a half hour, you know. And the other thing is, I don't like anybody telling me or prescribing to me what meditation is. I believe that part of our going to God is going to God in our authenticity. My authenticity is not sitting cross legged with my fingers pinched together. It's listening to music, it's walking through a forest. For years, I had religion and even 12-step people tell me what I should be doing meditatively, and I refuse because I find God in my own way. And so my goal is to keep practicing doing what connects me, but more often because there's too much distraction in this world. So I loved this session because it was a reminder to go back inward, go back, always go back inward. Thank you.
Thank you, G. And what I would say to you is, it sounds like you could do some of that, the slide on containment, because it is our thinking. Years ago it used to be called stinking thinking. I don't know if they still use that term, but what you've got to do is you've got to put those thinking processes that you're tripping over, and you've got to contain them. And one of the great ways that I've been told about containing them is you get what's called a God box or a God jar. You put the name on it, whatever you want to call it. And when these repetitive thoughts come up that are interfering with your peace or your connection with your higher power, you write it down, you put it in the box, and you ask God to take care of it. So, what
The
you're doing.
issue is I get too lit up by distractions, and I always say, I'll get to it later. I'll get
Yep.
to it later, soon as I'm done with this job, soon as I'm done with dinner, soon as I'm done. And then, and I don't get to it. And it's embarrassing because God knows that I know better.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said way back in the beginning, how free do you want to be? Your freedom is on the line. In
Correct.
what you've got to do is you might have to say, okay, you know what? I do have to make dinner, but when I'm going to go in, I'm going to run to the bathroom, and when I'm sitting there for 2 minutes, I'm going to connect in whatever way you do. And then, as I said, as you practice, you keep finding minutes here and there, and those minutes add up. It's like they used to say you had to walk 30 minutes a day, and now they're saying as long as it's 30 minutes total, you're going to get the same benefit if you walked for 30 minutes straight. It's the same way with connection and with
Right.
meditation. So
Right.
when you have those moments where you're sitting, or maybe give up one of those things that light you up, because that's a big flag. Instead of being lit up, say, no, I'm going to take this time and I'm going to do a little more meditating than I've done, or whatever you want to call it. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit with your legs crossed. In fact, I don't think I could, or if I did, I couldn't get up off the floor. It's not about, don't get caught up on the word meditation.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely
anymore.
get
I
caught up
used
in the
to.
act,
Yeah, I
get on
used
board
to.
with it.
I used to not meditate because it was prescribed by other people to do it a specific. I'm over that. Now I'm like,
Okay.
no, no, no. I took a walk in the forest yesterday for 45 minutes, hours, sat there,
Yeah.
breathed in the eucalyptus smell, talked to God there. And
Nice.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I understand why monks and recluses want to get away
Yeah.
and be but it is what it is. It's the distractions that we're bombarded 24 hours a day. That's not an excuse, but it's just a tremendous challenge.
Yes, and distractions are a big element in addiction, because as long as we're distracted, we're not in the moment and we're not addressing whatever needs to be addressed. It's an addiction in itself to be distracted. It gets you away from what's really going on.
Well, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And my practice now is to, as soon as I feel lit up, force myself to sit down and pause for a couple minutes and go, the world's not going anywhere.
Good.
Stop right now. So I'm practicing, but
Yep.
yeah, exactly. It's addiction to thinking and addiction to moving.
Absolutely. We can be addicted to anything. That's the most amazing
Totally.
thing about addiction. People, they shun the 12 steps because they're like, well, I don't drink. And I'm like, I don't drink either, but I'm in the 12 steps. It's not about drinking. It's not
No,
even
it's
about
not.
your addiction. None of this matters. That's why we say the story's not important, because the important is the connection. Because once the connection is made, that's when things change. That's when the reprieve comes. That's when neutrality comes. It's the 12 steps is getting you to the place of connection. It never says I'm going to get rid of your addiction, ever. Because
No, it
that's not what
doesn't.
this is about.
And the tools are not a remedy for the addiction either. They're nice to have in our toolbox, but
They are.
they're not. The
They're not the
connection is the
point.
only thing that will change and it will do anything. I agree. And it's the most important relationship, and it's the one that we ignore the most.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't like religion, but I do appreciate some religions where, like the Muslim faith, I see that they are required to pull out a rug and get on their knees 5 times a day. not because they're fanatical, but it's a reminder to stop and pause and reconnect.
Sometimes people need a ritual that gets them there. You know, that's
Right.
whatever gets you there, get on board and get there.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you for talking with me. Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for the workshop tonight.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Right now, in my 12-step work, the higher power comes in the form of a horse. And I just wanted to mention that. And I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
That's a wonderful vision. I love that. Has it
Thank you.
always been that way?
No, it hasn't. This is new in the last 2 years. And I will say, you know, I've done Herb's work a couple of times. And the thing that's happened for me is each time I've done his workshop and now with yours, I know that I'm going to have to choose a power that's higher than the one I was using for the last time I went through the 12 steps, because it's been progressive for me.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say that, and that I'm really looking forward to the God I get in your workshop this time. Thank you.
I'm
That's
looking forward to it too. I hope you share with us.
okay.
Nancy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Susan.
Oh, hey, I just wanted to, well, a couple things. Wanted to, offer a suggestion for the remembering to connect for the conscious contact with God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it can work to tie it to something else that you do, you know, like your 3 meals a day or the waking or the sleeping. My biofeedback therapist said, okay, I want you to start spending 5 minutes breathing in to 5 and breathing out to 5. So 5, 5, 5, easy to remember. And I was like, oh my gosh, another, I'm already. Then I tied it to something I do every morning, which is before I get out of bed, I do stretching exercises. And so I started doing it, the 5, 5, and even I take longer than 5 minutes, so I even, stretched it out. But I do have to say, I forgot about it. Like I couldn't do the stretching one day or something recently. And then, of course, I forgot about it. So I haven't been doing the 5, 5 with the stretching. And then I have to remember. But I just wanted to offer that example. And then also mention, the Islamic religion. I lived in the Middle East for many, many years and in Islamic countries. But I wasn't in the 12 steps. And, I didn't have a concept of God. But looking back, that 5 times a day prayer, and it's called from the minarets. It's there to remind you. And all the language is God, God, God. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Just everything has that word in it. For hello, goodbye, see you tomorrow, hope you're feeling good. So I just thought, wow, what a neat practical thing, in retrospect.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really terrific things out there
You're
about.
muted.
Oh, am I?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? There are
Oh
some.
no, I'm sorry.
That's okay. There are some tremendous aspects of certain religions out there. And I don't want to badmouth religion. I really don't. If religion works and it gets you to connect, then that's great. If religion doesn't work, but you still connect, then that's great. There is no one specific perfect way to make the connection work. It's not about any of that. It's about the connection. So I don't want anyone to feel like, well, well, I'm a really devout Catholic, and people are saying religion is this, that. It's really not about that any more than it's about our stories, because religion started as a story itself. The point is, are we connecting, and what is getting us to connect? That's the important thing. So, if you idolize something and you feel like when you do, you are connecting to your higher power and it's working for you, then that's what you should do. Absolutely, 100%. Rita.
Thanks. I believe it was on this meeting that I heard last week the expression "God in skin" when people reach out or help. And I had that experience because our meeting was Tuesday night. So I fractured my foot Wednesday morning, and just by mentioning it to neighbors, I was loaned crutches. A neighbor had a knee scooter. Someone else had a walker. I mean, who keeps a knee scooter in their garage? It was just like, I just felt cared for. And so that expression, God in skin, really meant a lot to me. And connecting with higher power, when I wake up, I say, thank you for a good night's sleep. In the shower, I'm in my birthday suit. I mean, I'm very, just saying, thank you, God. And, I have a prayer that I say, and just, and in the big book, it talks about on awakening, we consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking. And that's what I've had to emphasize to myself this year, because I was great about, yep, let me consider my plans. And this has made me feel very, I don't know if the word's humble, but very thoughtful about all of the blessings I have in my life. Meister Eckhart says the most powerful prayer is thank you. And I keep thinking, higher power keeps giving me all these gifts. Am I even showing my gratitude and my appreciation? So and I too have lived in the Middle East, and having those call to prayer. But once upon a time in North America, we had church bells ring, that reminder to stop and pause. But, with our technology, I think I'm not really good with it, but just set a timer. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about when we wash the dishes, say thank you for the water, thank you for the soap, thank you that I had plates to wash. So I'm going to be a whole lot more mindful about, I'm taking my higher power for granted. I really am. And I'm embarrassed. I really am. I'm just feeling very, wow. And the distractions of the world, but I'm letting them. And I'm thinking about Joe's terminology. I get in that phenomenon of craving, like I want more of whatever it is, and I'll do it, God. I'll do my attention to God later. I do have an afternoon meditation time. However, I'm thinking that there needs to be, I want more. That's why it's called conscious contact, to wake up. I keep going back to sleep. But so I took away from tonight's meeting, remembering about last week, God in skin, that was in place for me this week, people helping me. And this whole waking up and staying awake.
Well, last week, we also talked about, step 12 is we're full, we have a full vessel, which is in a sense about gratitude, which is what you were saying. You have so much and maybe you're not feeling enough of that gratitude. But when we're in gratitude, then we're able to share that vessel, our vessel that is full of the gifts that we've been given. And sometimes it's just showing up and being in someone's presence, or being the person that's able to take that little thing that you can nail on and scoot around. That's a sense of gratitude, and you shared that with the person that brought it to you. So, it's remembering that you are a vessel and you are being filled up, and you're being filled up so that you can distributed all around you to whoever needs it or wants it. And sometimes that happens without you even realizing it. You know, sometimes somebody needs to help you in order to do something within themselves that's important. So showing up sometimes is the best thing to do. Thank you for sharing. Does anyone else have a question or want to share or? No? Okay. Oh. Hi, Cesar. Come on down.
Hi, Lisa. Very quickly, when you said we're doing surgery on the ego to get to our soul, I'm interpreting as the ego being my mind, and the soul being my heart. Does that make? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
there's a lot of theories out there that go along with that. You know, the ego is the self will run riot. That's the ego. It's the unmanageability.
Mm,
If you're not in your God presence, you're in the ego. It's kind of black and white when it comes to the ego. You're either one or you're the other. So if you're ever confused and you're not sure which one you're in, you can just ask yourself, am I in my God presence? And if you're not, there's your answer. You're in your ego. But a lot of it, that's what the containment was about. We've got to contain the feelings and the thoughts, because it is from the ego. The ego wants
yeah.
to win. The ego wants to be in charge. The ego wants to be in control. So if we're in our ego, that's what's running our life. It's never going to run right. It's never going to work. It's the ego that distracts. When you're in that, when people are talking about they feel distracted, that's the ego. It wants power. It wants the power that you're trying to get from the real power.
Sometimes I've listened to my heart, which I'm interpreting as that's my God-given voice, and I've fallen flat on my face.
And yeah, and in that situation, you would be better off listening to God. You would present the question in your morning meditation. This is my question, and you ask God, and you see if you get an answer, because then you're going to be really clear that the answer is not coming from you, because we're going to tell ourselves whatever we have to. We're egomaniacs. We're control freaks.
Yeah.
We have the disease of more. We want more of everything, more control, more answers, more this, more that. It's always more. So when we go into our contemplation or our meditation, that's when we're connecting with that power that says, you don't need more. You have everything. You have me.
Mm.
I'm your higher power. I will guide you. And when you sit in meditation with that, or with those questions that sometimes get you into bigger issues, you sit and you have a pad of paper next door. You'll have answers come up, or you'll walk around afterwards and you'll be like, wow, I know what I have to do now. I know. And there's no feeling of negativity with that when that answer comes in, that wee small voice. It comes in and you know what it is. You don't question it. You're not going to go back and forth and be, should I do A or should I do B? What is this? It's a very clear answer. And if you didn't get a clear answer, it's not time to make the decision.
Okay, thank you.
You literally allow yourself to be led. And you will be led on the correct path because you're on God's path. How can you be on the wrong path if you're on God's path? When you're on Caesar's path, you can run all kinds of riot around you. You can get into all kinds of trouble.
I know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know firsthand, I've got to give this over. I've got to get this to a power that can do something that I can't do. Because you've done it enough times to know your will does not work. And remember, your will always choose you. So you think, oh, my will's choosing me. I must be right. This is great. I feel wonderful. It's a lie. It's all a lie. You need to contain it. Get a God container. Put all that crap in a container and get your answers from God, not from your your mind or your heart or any of that, because it's always going to choose you and your ego.
Mm.
You have to get outside of yourself. You have to be in the presence of God. And then you'll hear that. You'll hear it. You will hear the answers. They're there. 100%.
Thank you. Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Susan. Thank you for the question. Okay, if everybody's good, I'm gonna do the serenity prayer. I feel like it's the best one. And if anyone wants to take the serenity prayer and excavate it word by word, it's a fantastic thing to do, so that when you are actually using the serenity prayer, it has that much more power. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lisa, so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Lisa.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you,
Lisa.
Lisa.
And
Thank
everyone,
Thank you,
everyone who
Lisa.
weighed in, yeah.
Everybody.
Have a
Everyone
good
that's
night.
Thank you, Lisa.
Any questions, just